Hello and welcome to SCAN, a show brought to you by SCAN, the Social Communities Activity Network. SCAN is a nonprofit agency dedicated to helping active adults stay informed, empowered, and inspired. I'm your host, Tracy Wolfman. I'm the CEO of We Care Adult Care and a board member here at SCAN. The program offers information and insight to educate and inform the community on services that are available, as well as discussion, our program offerings on-site here, lower level of Monmouth Mall, and our satellite locations in Keansburg, Ocean Township. We have expert guests who provide you with the latest information. We hope to give you valuable resources that you may not have known about. I'd like to welcome my guest today, DonnaLyn Giegerich from DL Consulting, or DonnaLyn Speaks.
Nice to be here, Tracy.
It is such a pleasure to have the inspiration that you offer so many of us in the community and to provide this service to our active adults who are participating in SCAN activities. And you today will tell us how to reinvent ourselves. And I think for our audience, this is one not to miss. So welcome and thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
I just want to give a few words about you because I know Miss Dynamic has a lot going on, and I have a very short, informative information about you that I want our viewers not to miss.
Okay.
DonnaLyn is the CEO and Chief Engagement Officer, DLG Consulting in Red Bank. Her sole mission in business and life is to help leaders succeed. One of the greatest gifts that you provide.
Thank you.
The intersection of her award-winning entrepreneurial success, national conference keynoting, and brand-building business expertise positions her to help create change for the greater good. You can learn more about DonnaLyn at DonnaLynSpeaks.com on her social sites, or you can contact her DonnaLynSpeaks@gmail.com. So again, welcome. And thank you for being here with us today, because with the holiday seasons coming, I think a good goal for the new year will be for all of us to reinvent ourselves.
Absolutely, or to be thinking about how we might be able to move into 2019 with some vim and vigor and some renewed energy around sharing our talents and our time.
That is so wonderful, DonnaLyn, because a lot of people, and I know we were previously having this conversation about retiring and how to stay active and how to show up and be your best. How do you know when it's time to reinvent yourself, DonnaLyn?
So I work with a lot of dynamic clients that are either pre-retiring and they're planning for retirement, or they're not sure how they want to move into retirement, or they're actually reinventing themselves because they want to get back into the workforce. They never want to leave. Right. And I say to them, regardless of what that stage or phase in life is for them, they need to be concentrating on what that inner wisdom is telling them. Are they getting complacent? Are they feeling slightly bored? Or are they feeling twinges of maybe a little jealousy when a colleague of theirs is actually reinventing and repurposing their life? And if those kinds of feelings are bubbling up for people, feeling complacent, feeling bored, feeling like I'm not maximizing my potential, then that's a sign that it's time to do some soul searching and some planning about reinventing their gifts.
So I think a lot of people don't realize when they're becoming active aging adults and they don't have that career or that job that once identified them.
Right. Well, so it's not a straight line.
Correct.
And folks are dealing with this in their 30s and 40s because life is changing so quickly that there isn't a straight trajectory line anymore. So they're being called to really look at, what do I want to do with my talent and time? And that doesn't have a number on it. So whether you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, I mean, I worked with a client recently who went back to law school at 50 to exceed her clients' expectations. She's a real estate attorney. She teaches piano. She's a singer. She's a mother of 3. She's a very dynamic leader in her life and in her community, but she was feeling like, I still have more. I want to go back to law school. I want to continue to learn. I want to engage. I want to keep cerebrally stimulated so that I can be a better realtor, a more interesting conversationalist at a cocktail party, a better friend, a mentor.
Right, exactly.
It's a wide net.
Because I think a lot of people, some people want to retire and they just decide they want to take it easy. And I think after they reevaluate and they're in that state,
Right.
they don't think long enough to say, there's lots of things that I could be doing.
Oh my gosh. And with science, they may be living into their hundreds today.
Absolutely. And people have to realize we got about 50 more years after we retire if you're a young retiree.
So think about that. I mean, George Bush right now, I just saw an interview, he retired and he could be doing all kinds of advocacy for his favorite politician, but he's actually painting now.
I heard
He's
that.
a great role model for most of us that are thinking, well, I've always been a business person, so I'm not an artist. And I say, no, this might be an opportunity for you to explore some of those other talents on the other side of the aisle. Worked with a fellow who built a business and now he's an event photographer. Worked with another fellow who also owned a business. Now he's a professional poker player and he teaches tennis around the Caribbean for fun because he's a great athlete.
That is wonderful. When you see these people that are reinventing,
Right.
so none of them had an agenda to do these things.
They fell into it. Some people have a career crisis, a financial reversal, a health challenge,
Right.
and they're being called to realize that life is not a stress rehearsal, and they have a wide and broad talents to pull on and to actually develop. I was sharing with you before we started today, there's another woman in my professional circles who spent 3 decades in retail as a manager in the fashion business, a little bit of cosmetics, working in New York for some really big brands. And when her position was eliminated, she said, you know what? While I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next, I'm going to pick up the saxophone because many years ago I loved music and played the saxophone. And not only is she playing saxophone now, but she's also a DJ part-time at 90.5 The Night at Brookdale. So she continues to reinvent herself. Right. And as I say to people, once you get your motor running, then there's no stopping you.
That's correct, but you have to get the motor running.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So for these people, they're retiring.
Right.
Besides, you've been traveling around the world as a speaker, business consultant, impact coach to get people in business and life. So we have your average person now who is retiring and maybe considering doing something else. Where should they start?
Okay. Great question.
When you go, you know, they just want to get their feet wet.
Right. So I say hang out in one of the 3 C's. Hang out in a community center, whether that's a church, a synagogue, or a meeting house.
Love that.
And find out what else is going on with the actively aging there, or find out from the program managers there in those community centers, where is there a need that your skill or your talent might nicely parlay into an assignment. You can do it part-time. You can say, I'm not sure, I'm dipping my toe in this pond, I'd like to explore this opportunity. And number 2, hang out in a professional networking forum. Right? So go to conferences. If you've always wanted to write a book, go to a writer's conference. Talk to people. They weren't always prolific writers. They learned the skill set. So hang out in conferences that thematically align with what you think you might want to do next.
Okay.
So
That's
conferences,
great advice for our
meeting
viewers.
houses, and stay curious. So keep an open mind. Just because you've been an engineer all your life doesn't mean you can't start playing pickleball or right? So people, they pigeonhole themselves. Just because you've always been an event planner doesn't mean you can't learn how to code.
Right.
Go back to Brookdale, take a coding class, come back to SCAN, learn how to teach yoga, learn how to knit a scarf. You know, there are so many ways for us to continue to broaden our interests with our skills.
Right, we just have to kickstart them. And I think that's the thing that people don't realize. There is other opportunities, and it doesn't have to be jumping in full force with something that you're unfamiliar with.
Absolutely, but I will say that hanging out with the right people
I
that
think that's
have
the best advice.
energy, hang out with people that want to share, hang out with people that want to learn, that want to grow. A friend of mine said it so well at a speaking conference. I was in her audience, and she said, just because we're aging doesn't mean we need to slow down. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't be slowing down, because we're at a stage in our life now where we've got an incredible amount of life experience, wisdom, talent, and skilling to really speed up.
Oh, absolutely speed up. Don't let any grass grow between your feet.
No.
And I think, you don't want to get in that routine of every day I'm getting up doing the same thing without introducing something new to stimulate your brain, your body.
Right. And I also say to clients that I work with, make sure that you're hanging out with different people. So it's great to have your cohort of equally aged people that are all retooling, repurposing, reskilling, but make it a point to also hang out with people that are a decade younger, 2 decades younger, 2 decades older. Play around. Yesterday I had a great conversation with a woman who's probably 15 years younger than I am. She's an avid runner. She's a mom. She's not in the same stage in life, but I felt so energized because I was able to help her move the needle forward on some of her life goals, pulling from my contact base, and she was able to think about what she wants to do with some of the wisdom points that I shared with her. We helped one another.
Right, and
it's collaboration.
It's great communication between people of different
I need
age
her,
groups.
She needs me, we help one another. We lift as we climb, everybody goes to a better place.
They absolutely do. And I think for our viewers, we want to encourage you to try even the unknown. I have families come into our center. My husband was never a joiner. He's not going to do anything.
Right.
You don't have to be.
No,
right?
No, I agree. There are different ways for you to show up. There's a woman in a local pickleball club. She doesn't play pickleball, but guess what she does? She's an extraordinary organizer. So she sends out the emails, she manages the database, she oversees our events, she makes sure we get together for beer and pizza after the tournaments. She really helps us stay together and stay organized. We couldn't do what we do without her talent.
So she's participating from the sidelines, but has a great impact.
Yes.
And you know what? Those are the people, like, it might be something that she's interested in that she had no idea she had an interest in. And though she can't be the active person, she is participating and engaging.
And totally engaging. And the nice part about staying physically active, in addition to staying cerebrally stimulated as we age, is that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America right now.
I see it all over the place. It kind of popped up and took off.
And so it helps with warding off cognitive decline, because the game is played at the net, so there's a lot of hand-eye coordination that's needed. There's a reason there's a lot of actively aging people playing pickleball. It's just one example.
Right.
So you're hitting all the areas that actively engaged folks at SCAN are going to want to be paying attention to. Moving my body, staying connected, and keeping cerebrally stimulated.
And that's great news for our viewers. We're going to take a short break here on Welcome to SCAN. We're going to return with more information for you right after these brief messages with our wonderful guest here, DonnaLyn Giegerich, who is going to inspire you to get out there and have your second act. Thank you. See you shortly.
So, if you're over 65, like me,
and active and fairly healthy,
being active and healthy alone will not protect you.
Remember, the immune system weakens with age.
And if you're over 65, ask your doctor about your vaccination options.
We want you to be healthy and active.
Welcome back to Welcome to SCAN. I am here with DonnaLyn Giegerich, who is speaking to us today about your second act. And I am so delighted to have her here to inspire us with all that she has done and to keep us all active, informed, and aging with dynamics and
Vitality.
vitality. That's it. DonnaLyn, I would just like to share with the audience, because a lot of times when we're active aging adults, as some of our viewers are, you know, we're going through knee replacements, we're going through hip replacements, some people are going through illness diagnosis, and they think that, okay, I can't do what I want to do now. To share, you have been through the worst of the worst and have rebuilt yourself over and over again. How can we inspire our viewers today of what you overcame? Yes, you were 10 years now? 10 years. But even at any age,
Right.
that you cannot give up and you must move forward.
Right.
So share with us your story.
I'm
if you
happy
would
to,
not.
because we're
Right.
you know, we feel, my husband and I feel, that we were called to this path to help others. We were both diagnosed with incurable aggressive cancers in our early 40s at the same time.
I know. I
right?
can't even
It's
believe it.
insane.
It's insane.
And so, you know, the cancer story shows up for everybody in some way, shape, or form in their lives.
Yes,
It's
it
not
does.
a more important story. It just was a unique story that gave us an opportunity to turn it into a free way of opportunity for others. So my husband and I were dealing with, okay, we're dying, but we have a choice to keep trying. And that's what we did. So we decided, with our time and our talent and our networks of friends, that we were going to transition our challenge into some meaningful programming for other people. So I was a certified yoga instructor. I taught yoga to people that were bald like me at the time. They were going through all kinds of treatments. I still do it today. 10 years later, people come to Yoga on the Lake in the summer, just on Saturdays, and they do yoga with me, no matter what they're overcoming. It could be a financial reversal, it could be a career setback, it could be a health challenge. My husband was given 6 months to live. I mean, literally, his bone marrow stopped making platelets. He was platelet dependent and transfusion dependent. And he just now won the senior Olympic pickleball champion for men's doubles in his age group at 55.
And going full speed ahead with that.
And going full speed ahead. So now he's being invited to play in New Mexico and France, and we're playing pickleball all over the country.
So people that have these setbacks, and I just want to go backwards to, you said the financial part.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to have a lot of wealth and money to be able to reinvent yourself, because there's other ways to do it.
There are.
So the single most important element for these people after you've been through this, reinventing that second act.
So it's having a plan and recognizing that that next act is not going to show up by design necessarily.
Right.
It's something that's a process that takes you, it requires you to row your boat to shore. So here's what I say to clients. Get out a piece of paper, put a line down the middle of the paper, and on the left side write what your talents are, and on the other side put where you want to take them. So maybe you're creative, maybe you're an artist, or maybe you're an engineer that's very detail oriented. But on the other side, you want to start a nonprofit or develop a new sport enthusiasm. Maybe you want to create an art movement. And then start thinking about who in my life can help me either collaborate, help create. That's what we did with Kick Cancer Overboard, right? Ted Friedley, who owns Excel Travel. I had just won the Mrs. New Jersey pageant with Salon Booth Grooms, and we were both celebrating the success of overcoming cancer. She had just lost her sister. I was advocating for my husband at the time. And we said, who do we know as cancer queens that can help us fill up a ship with survivors to celebrate life and have fun?
Right.
Ted Friedley was an insurance client of mine. He had contacts. He had a great opportunity to help create and collaborate so that all three of us could launch this nonprofit.
So that was part of another second act.
That was another part of the second act. So now I'm the co-founder of an award-winning nonprofit called Kick Cancer Overboard. We have now sent 300 people to sea for free in 8 years. Nobody takes a salary. It's 100% volunteer, but we couldn't have done it on our own while we were fighting for our lives and going through chemotherapy and radiation and 10-hour surgeries and stem cell transplants. But what we could do is align with people in our community that were also touched with cancer, that also understood the struggle and the journey, and other people who had contacts with Royal Caribbean Cruise Line and understood that, hey, we could do something really creative here.
Right.
So we created a yoga program, we created a nonprofit. My husband started an event photography business, Tom Zapsik Photography. He does all kinds of photography.
So those are like seven things
sidelines.
you reinvented already.
Yeah.
What about for the person who is not that eager and aggressive? What are some of the things that you suggest to them? They're kind of the lower, easygoing person that wants something to do.
Right.
But doesn't know what to do.
So they should start having conversations with people like that exude what their end goal is. So call me, send me an email, say, I really want to get involved in saving animals. I really want to advocate for children in crisis. I really want to, and call me, because I'm connected with them somehow. And if I can't get you a direct answer, I know somebody who can. So use me as a resource. Come to Brookdale's conference in December. On December 7th, we have a reinvention conference I'll be emceeing. I have 4 panelists that have all reinvented themselves. Come and get inspired and ask them, how did you do this?
Right. When you're giving these presentations to people of all ages, they may have an interest in doing some volunteer work. And you have all these organizations for volunteer work. But the person who doesn't know what their talents are. So people have hidden talents. You did not know you had half the talents until you were participating.
Sure.
Right?
So, yes.
And I think it's one of the things, none of us know what our inner talent is.
Right.
You're talking about writing a book. So many people are writing books now that never in a million years did they ever imagine writing books. But they're putting their interests, their talents,
their story
on the paper.
Yes.
Right. So everyone should write their story.
Agreed.
I'm such a firm believer in write your story. And you know what? Somebody wants to read that story.
So my recommendation for your viewership today is, what can you do as soon as you turn off this show is write a letter to yourself, and here's how it starts.
Oh, I love it.
Dear Fabulous, you've come this far and achieved so much. Here are your wins. Make a list, 1 to 10. Here are the other things that you still are gifted and talented and able to do because you're still alive, you still have the ability to develop talents and skills. And write that love letter, if you will, to yourself, and keep revisiting it once a month, once a week, whatever, as you start to make progress toward marrying where you've been successfully to where you want to go. And keep having those conversations with other people that are reinventing themselves, right? You love animals. Sure, you're a nurse. Yes, you're a CEO. You run a business. You are a nurse. You've taken care of people, but you also love your animals, right? We're all multi-talented and multi-skilled. And so when you start putting yourself in a place where you're seeing all these interesting people do exactly what ordinary people have the ability to do every day.
I think a lot of people don't evaluate themselves and look inside and say, you know, I really do have talent. I really do have interest. You know, a lot of people, they go to work every day, they get into that same, and then they retire.
Sure.
And they're thinking that it's just the same old, but they have, you just named a few for myself that I forget about.
Exactly.
And as same for you.
Yeah, no doubt. So we call it developing the side hustle. You know, everything today is a gig economy. We're all gig economists because we're all working in this economy now as part-time enthusiasts. So exploring what that might look like in your pre-retirement, or if you are now in fact retired, start volunteering. We just did a big event here at the Ocean Place Resort for over 600 women runners. My brother-in-law is an excellent photographer. He just helped my husband with that event. So it was like Team Zapsik photography, right? Because Billy's now in a place in his life where he's saying, where can I start sharing some of my gifts and talents? I'm like, hey, how about keeping it in the family?
Right, exactly.
Join us. And so we have better shots and we have a bigger team. And one of our foreign exchange students who is in his 20s, he was off for the weekend after commuting to Jersey City all week, and he said, I've got 3 hours, I'll help you.
That's
multi-generational,
right.
all creative, coming together and helping build this brand that was women in wellness. We had 600 women running for Aslan Youth Ministries.
All different age groups.
Yeah, everybody coming together again. It comes back to that collaboration piece.
The collaboration piece.
Finding places.
Finding places and finding the people that will inspire you to do things that make you want to live.
Absolutely.
And do things that are, they don't always have to be inspirational, but they have to get into your inner soul and make you happy.
Oh, absolutely. And most of the time when we're with people, they're always thanking us, saying, thank you for creating this opportunity so that I can establish another family. I now have a family of friends that I know that I can change the world with in the spirit of creativity and collaboration.
So just in summary now, DonnaLyn, because we're getting to the end here, you're such an inspiration on so many levels.
Yeah, thanks.
And I want our viewers to know, I mean, they can reach out to you and contact you because you are always willing to
help,
speak, guide, direct,
mentor.
mentor.
Have a information evoking session, have a creativity cup of cyber coffee over the phone. They can get me on Instagram at DonnaLyn Consults. They can get me on Twitter or Facebook at DonnaLyn Speaks. They can hit me on my website at DonnaLynSpeaks.com or throw me a message on Gmail at DonnaLyn Speaks.
That's so welcoming for all our viewers, and I would suggest that you take advantage of that.
Happy to have it.
Because you've been a friend of SCAN, and encourage them to see what's going on at SCAN, because we have over 300 people taking classes here every day on such varied topics.
Keep learning, keep growing, and as Thomas Edison said, if we all did what we were potentially capable of, we'd simply astound ourselves. So be astounding.
We certainly would. Thank you for having DonnaLyn Giegerich on our show today.
Thanks, Tracy.
And I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Welcome to SCAN. I hope you enjoyed and you learned some helpful tips. Now it's your turn. We'd love to hear from you and what's on your mind. Call SCAN at 732-542-1326, or you can email us some ideas and feedback. Once again, thank you, DonnaLyn. It's been an absolute delight.
Time to get busy.
Time to get busy.